I never imagined my quiet property would become the center of a bitter neighborhood conflict. For years, my family home stood peacefully beside an upscale HOA community. Everything changed when one resident decided she didn't like what she saw. My name is Jake Turner, and my family has owned this land for decades. Long before luxury mansions appeared, we worked and cared for this property. It was more than land, it was home. The neighboring HOA was led by Victoria Hayes. She was known for controlling every detail of the community. Most residents followed her rules without question. At first, I paid little attention to HOA politics. Since my property wasn't part of their association, their rules didn't apply to me. That fact seemed to bother Victoria more than anything else. One afternoon, Victoria approached my property. She didn't come to introduce herself or be friendly. She came with complaints. She pointed toward my house and said it ruined the appearance of the neighborhood. According to her, my home lowered property values. I was stunned by her arrogance. I calmly explained that my property was private and legally mine. I had no obligation to follow HOA preferences. My answer clearly frustrated her. Victoria left angry and embarrassed. As she walked away, she promised that the issue wasn't over. At the time, I didn't take her threat seriously. A few days later, survey crews appeared near the property line. They spent hours taking measurements and marking locations. Something about it felt suspicious. Soon after, construction vehicles arrived. Workers unloaded materials and equipment along the boundary area. Nobody bothered to explain what was happening. Within days, a massive wall began rising between my property and the HOA community. It wasn't a simple fence, it was a giant brick structure. The purpose of the wall was obvious. Victoria wanted to block the view of my house. She was determined to hide it from the neighborhood. As the wall grew taller, I became concerned about its location. Something didn't look right. I decided to investigate further. I hired a licensed survey company to examine the property boundaries. Their job was simple: determine whether the wall was legally placed. The results would be important. The surveyors spent 2 days collecting measurements and comparing records. Every detail was documented carefully. They wanted complete accuracy. When the report arrived, it confirmed my concerns. Parts of the HOA wall extended onto my property. The violation was undeniable. I immediately contacted a property attorney. The evidence was clear and well documented. Legally, the HOA had created a serious problem. My lawyer reviewed the survey findings and property records. He explained that unauthorized construction on private land carried significant consequences. The HOA was exposed to liability. A formal legal notice was delivered to Victoria. Instead of fixing the situation, she reacted with anger. She refused to admit any wrongdoing. At the next HOA meeting, Victoria insisted the wall would remain. She believed her position would protect her. That confidence would soon be tested. While discussing options with my attorney, I reviewed the full property layout. That's when I noticed something interesting. An old access corridor crossed part of my land. The route had existed for decades and was clearly shown in historical records. It connected to the area behind Victoria's mansion. Legally, it belonged entirely to me. I spent several days reviewing maps and documents. Everything confirmed the same conclusion. The corridor was private property under my control. After consulting engineers and legal experts, I approved a new construction project. Every permit was obtained properly. Everything would be done by the book. Heavy equipment arrived the following week. Contractors began preparing the site. The scale of the project immediately attracted attention. Workers carefully marked boundaries and construction zones. Every measurement followed approved plans. There would be no legal shortcuts. Before long, Victoria noticed the activity. She watched from her mansion as equipment moved across the site. For the first time, she looked concerned. She approached me demanding to know what I was building. I simply told her it was a lawful project on my property. That answer only increased her curiosity. As construction progressed, the framework of a large structure became visible. Neighbors started asking questions. Rumors spread quickly throughout the community. People speculated about what the finished project would look like. Some thought it might be a warehouse. Others guessed it was agricultural infrastructure. Week after week, the structure continued rising. Its size became impossible to ignore. Even HOA board members started paying close attention. Victoria confronted me again, hoping to stop the project. She demanded details and explanations. I politely referred her to the public permits. Every inspection passed without issue. Engineers approved each phase of construction. The project moved forward smoothly. The growing wall became the talk of the neighborhood. Residents drove by to see it for themselves. Curiosity reached an all-time high. Some HOA members privately questioned Victoria's original decision. They worried the dispute had escalated unnecessarily. Tension spread within the board. As the structure neared completion, its purpose became obvious. The wall dramatically altered the view around Victoria's property. People finally understood my plan. Victoria stood on her balcony staring at the towering barrier. The same kind of obstruction she had forced on me was now affecting her. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Her attorneys reviewed every permit and document they could find. They searched for a legal challenge. None existed. Construction crews continued working according to schedule. Every stage met legal and engineering requirements. The project remained fully compliant. By the final month, the wall dominated the landscape. It had become a local topic of conversation. Everyone was waiting to see the outcome. The final sections were installed with precision. Workers completed the last major components. The project was nearly finished. When construction officially ended, the results were impossible to ignore. The structure stood entirely on my property. Every inch complied with regulations. Residents throughout the neighborhood discussed the situation. Many remembered how the conflict began. Public opinion slowly shifted. Victoria faced increasing criticism from HOA members. Questions about her leadership became difficult to avoid. Her authority weakened considerably. Eventually, the HOA addressed the original boundary violation. Unauthorized sections of their wall were removed. The correction cost a significant amount of money. With the legal disputes ending, life became peaceful again. My property remained exactly where it had always been. The difference was that people respected the boundaries now. Several neighbors later apologized for supporting the HOA's actions. They admitted they hadn't known the complete story. Their honesty was appreciated. Looking back, the lesson was simple. Respect for property rights matters, and treating others fairly goes a long way. In the end, actions always bring consequences. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this HOA story, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload. And tell us in the comments, where are you watching from today?